Welcome to the TST Technology webinar. We'll be going through the VISI 2020.0 review. Please note there are some updates, so make sure you get those downloaded. My name is Edwin Pino, and for those of you who know me, have had me on site, thank you for having me out. We do provide that as a service to be on site and help you with processes and everything else VISI related. So let's get started. The installation prerequisites are going to be as follows. Windows 7, 8.1, and 10, only the Pro versions in 64 bits. If you guys do have any questions, please use the chat box, and we're going to use the reply in private or the chat in private option. So one big thing to note, guys, as always, the work files created in the newer version, the 2020.0, cannot be opened in earlier versions. The launcher will be updated upon installation. Okay, this is going to house some different things like the migration tool, the CLS launcher as well, license manager through there. No more CLS icon in the system tray. It's been gone for a few versions now, so we should be pretty accustomed to that. Use that migration tool, guys. It's going to help bring over all those settings. There are a few things that it's not. Any Pram and G custom will need to be transferred, and the wire will use a snapshot and then save defaults inside of the CAM setup. Okay. Besides that, it should get pretty much everything. The main new capabilities in the version for translators are going to be ACIS support for 2019, DWG, DXF, upgraded libraries, the JT Open libraries updated to 10.2.1.1. Parasolid Read Writer have been upgraded as well to the current libraries. Solid Edge 2019 ST11 version support, SolidWorks support for 2019 files, SolidWorks direct support for those 2019 files as well. The translators here are listed out. Okay. Also in your release notes, which are available on our FTP, you can see those as well. One other thing, kind of translator related at least, are going to be the ability to register interface file extensions. It's now possible to have more control for file designations. So what this is when you go and click on a step file, it helps associate it to the proper version in VISI. So you may associate that extension type without any edit of registries. Registering the edits in the registry, that's something within Windows and can have some adverse side effects. This is a much safer way of performing that task. So first up, obviously this is the CAM webinar, but we obviously have some modeling things that do come into play here. Okay, some of these more than others, but the work plane by 3 points option, draw axis on pipe surface, and some faster points editing. So let's take a look at some of this as we go through here. Okay. This is going to be with the automatic work plane option on. That's in your system user interface, system settings and user interface. So the ability to grab by 3 points has been modified here. And the ability is much easier in the more dynamic environment. Okay. So we're adjusting the Z with the Alt key depressed. That allows us to lock at least position-wise, but we can change the orientation. Okay. So it makes it much easier to be at that point and align to the other point in X. Next up, it's going to be the draw axis on pipe surface. So we've got a couple different areas here that we can use this. The draw axis under wireframe. We can grab a face, multiple faces. Okay. Sometimes it's helpful in the machining world to draw some of the axes of these pipe surfaces or of something in a plate. You want to make sure maybe it's drawn at the same angle Maybe you're having trouble with the feature rec, you can go do a little bit of investigation here. Be able to draw those axes. Okay, not only off the faces and the pipe surfaces. Using that surface analyzer, which is a helpful tool, not only in this, but just seeing draft parts. Handles all these individually. Last up for our video here, deleting multiple points from a cloud. Those delete points have the ability to be able to dissolve and then grab what we want with just a box here. And moving on. Next into modeling is region creation. This ability detects and generates regions from closed areas. The combination of wireframe elements and edges of bodies can be used then to extrude or swing those into solid elements. It's only active on the current work plane. Let's take a look here at this video. So, and keep in mind, guys, under the system settings, this is on by default, the region creation. Now, if you are opening up a huge design file, you want to make sure that's turned off. Obviously, you're going to have multiple, either plot views are in there sometimes, and that can cause some region creation to occur. If you do open one of those big files, in the right-hand, lower left-hand corner, should be the ability to hit ESC and stop that region creation. Especially on those viewer computers, we'll have to make sure that's off. But with this ability enabled and on the side profile, we can swing this all the way around. And now we've got a solid. We can unite it and make it a full solid instead of multiple. And this is available in the 2019 release, guys. A little bit of a review here on a couple of the things, as always. So these regions get classified under a face selection. Then we can do what we need. We can even introduce those Boolean operations with the extrude and swing. It is off of the current work plane. So if we go and transfer it or translate it, it will follow that, whether it's the side or the top view, whatever it may be. It also works on things that intersect our other geometry. So they don't have to be necessarily a profile or a fully closed area where it's exactly concatenated together, but as long as it intersects and forms that closed area, it knows. Even if we add in some more geometry here, there we go. Now we can move and extrude those pieces. Now we've got kind of a little foot here. We can do that positive extension or first distance. And we can even unite it as a Boolean operation. And maybe extend that. We can combine it together. Take one more quick look. You see how this open area here, we could maybe come into edit and offset that line, and you'll see it still form a region for us. That region can then be used. You can see how it combines both the 2D elements and those edges to create that region. Let's move on here. So one thing to note on the modeling, for some of you who do use this, the analysis has been enhanced and something added to it called nesting part to analysis, or nesting part. You have the ability now to nest surfaces and solids. Okay? This can help us set up, as long as they're on the same plane, these will be nested into one area. On a 2.5 axis, this is under preview. There's going to be a few things. Dovetail cutter support on chamfering, spring passes on chamfering, waveform small pocket and helix diameter management, and rest material with side passes profiling. So we have on here little couple videos here showcasing the chamfering with side passes, and even the undercut in chamfering with side passes. In our CAM Navigator, we can see some of the toolpath in the toolpath lab, and you can see the dovetail and the setup on our dovetail cutter. Spring passes are available on the chamfering operation. Like we said, this is a part of the preview. What that is a preview license that you can request from support, and if it is approved, we can sign. Obviously have to sign a waiver, but you get a preview license, and it will allow you to use and test some of this, provided you give us some feedback. Maybe some test files that you use that ran good, maybe some things that occurred that are possible issues or bugs, or possible expanded enhancement as in regards to what we're testing. And you can see some of the functionality there. Do a section plane within our cut sim, and go to transparent. It's all within a Kinematics simulator. Really good tool for you guys to use. I know some of the old school guys do not use Kinematics. It's a great tool. Waveform, min and max diameter with parameters. So having that expanded functionality there, or expanded way to alter that, really allows us to help control that and maybe get into some areas that we want to. With those parameters set, we can have much more control and go into these smaller areas. Let's continue on. Under the CAM, there's going to be a Use Project Obstacle flag now. It's going to automatically consider the obstacle defined in the project for collision checking. So if you don't have anything in your project as an obstacle, this flag can remain checked or unchecked, and it will have no bearing. So let's check this out here with something defined as an obstacle in our model manager. Okay, it's also in our project, has to be in there as well. So if you add it as a secondary, make sure it's in there. It should automatically pull it in. Or if you add a second one, you'll have to make sure you add it on there. I would add all obstacles as one single obstacle to help avoid any confusion. You also have an allowance when that is actually active. So let's take a look at this roughing spiral. And we'll hit B for build. With that built, we can see we now get that to come away, those 2 mils, as defined in our properties. Also, as a face list, you could do something similar. Clamping faces can be set. With that offset in there. Let's continue on. Under CAM, we have a new stock from Bounding Box. This is for 2019. We also have some expanded capability in 2020 that we'll see coming up. We can define stock by silhouette or bounding box. We can do a multiple piece selection. We can offset by X and Y, or Z positive or Z negative. Also some color transparency settings that we'll see in this video. So this is in 19R1, as I mentioned before. We can add by multiple selections. Notice we selected both the left and right hand, and we're adding stock by bounding box. By far, this is the faster way if we're using a bounding box, or if you want to draw your stock manually. Rather than using question mark bounding box, having this functionality in here that is a little bit more expanded than it was really provides a real fast and easy way, consistent way for everybody to add stock, especially the new guys. Everybody who have been teaching the new way of this has really liked it. It simplifies it. There's one area to go to, and it provides the functionality that we need. In 2020, this is going to change a little bit. We'll review those in a second, but this is a functionality in 2019. Okay, your X, Y, your Z positive and negative. But notice it is still a mesh. So any further altering of this is not possible. Okay, we can't just take a face and move it. So we can do individual bounding box. We could also do a silhouette. Okay, maybe for the wire guys, the silhouette might work, or maybe for a different type of offset. Okay, let's move on here. So under 3-axis, for roughing, we can create a solid as automatic stock option. Will help us create solids, create multiple solids, and close mesh command will do stock only, or for stock only. Let's take a look at that in action. So we have these 4 pieces here. Like I said, if we highlight them at the same time, we can add stock from a bounding box. You have to have your pieces added first, guys, to be able to do this. It has to see those pieces. In 2020, we have the expanded capability of as solid, and now we have that solid bounding box created. We can turn its visibility off, but we can create multiple stocks. So it'll do bounding box around each individual piece it sees in X and Y offset, or by the positive Z or negative Z or Z for our Canadian customers. And there we have our individuals. So those solids, likewise, they're not the mesh. So they are editable by move face, edit face, and our normal modeling commands if we have those available. For the close mesh to a solid, we'll take a look here. Looks like a connecting rod for some kind of 2 or 4 stroke engine here. We can select the mesh as a stock. Okay. We have right click on the body mesh and we can close mesh. We can do an offset, grid step, and decimal tolerance. Grid step is it's going to analyze every 30 thou, 45 thou, whatever we put in there. And we got the piece and the stock added. Next up is going to be geometry definition. We'll be able to do a select predefined geometry. It'll be able to quickly retrieve those definitions from previous operations within the current milling project. Okay. So instead of just, obviously, if we duplicate an operation, it'll have that in there. But what happens when we have a different kind of operation, but we still want to use those face lists that we established in the other one? Well, currently we have to reestablish all those. If we see in this file, well, we have the pieces and the face lists established. We go to add an operation, a new one. And under the pieces, we have our select pieces. If this works with faceless or pieces, we can select it from a different operation. It really comes in handy when we're using cover surfaces and not. Being able to basically grab the same settings and pull it in rather than, oh, did I set it up right, or possibly not selecting all the surfaces. It really eliminates the door for that. It allows you to set it up the same exact way. Okay. Like I said, works for on the pieces or the faceless. Also, in obstacles, we'll have the same ability to pull the obstacles based on roughing. If we're doing like a clamp dance, as we call it, right? We could make sure we select the proper ones here. Also, it'll work in the 5-axis as well. When we go to add an operation, select our tool, and within our 5-axis interface, the drive surface selection, we now have select drive surfaces, or now the select geometry from existing operations. We can see, we can grab either the parallel cut or project curves cut. And you can see our drive surface coming in. Moving on, the 3-axis automatic stock for first roughing cut. New functionality helps speed up the milling operation. If there is no stock, it launches the bounding box. 1 stock automatically selects it. 2 stocks, if one is used in a project, it uses that. Let's take a look here. So for the guys who, if you add stock already, it's going to help you. Then you don't have to hit solid and bring your piece up in our menu. Don't have to do that anymore. One thing to note though, if you are adjusting your limits, well, the automatic is probably not the best option, because after you say OK, it then analyzes those limits again. So it will reset any Z limit selection you put. If you are in the Z limit selection, or the need to do that, well, the automatic would not be what you want to use, because you're going to set it. You can see the automatic stock method where normally we would see solid. Once we say OK, it's going to grab the stock that is already in your model manager. Instead of having to bring that up always, it eliminates us from probably 1, 2, 3, at least 3 clicks, maybe 4. If we have 2 stocks in this scenario added to the model manager, and we have a main stock in our reference under our project, remember we can only have 1 piece or 1 stock in there. Therefore, in the operations portion, we can select a tool and take a look at our roughing operation. Automatic. It's going to automatically use that stock number 2. And you can see it bold there, meaning that's what it's using. Pretty straightforward. If we have 2 stocks in this scenario, our last scenario we're going to show you, and there's none in that stock, then it will launch once we add an operation, select our tool, our operation first, then our tool. It will then launch the select geometry box. Moving on in the 3-axis realm, the rest material and pencil. It is now possible to provide stock or a previous operation as a reference to restrict the machining areas. This is super important for us to have this ability with our new engines. The new geometry page, also in the standard operations, collects all the geometry related parameters and replaces the limits page. Rest assured, all the functionality of our limits page is still available. It's just set up a little bit differently for us. We can take a look. We have a piece of stock here, maybe representing a design change. Okay. The rest material here, we can tell it either by none or by a reference operation or a solid. We can do a toolpath method as well. For this one we have auto. So it automatically changes to more of a Z-level cut versus a sweeping rest area cut. And we can see our toolpath. If we turn off our stock from being seen, we can see that a bit better. Back to our project tab. Let's take a look at using a previous operation instead of the stock. We'll select our operation, bring it to the right. We should be pretty used to that. And we can say OK and build our operation. We can see based on those, it restricts the machining area. And that's a single pass pencil. Just to tighten up those areas. Additionally to the machining and the cam area is going to be a cam setup review. So this is going to apply not only to the 3+2 guys, but the 3-axis guys might see this when they're changing a machine. Rest assured, there's not much to worry about there. As long as you do your update cam setup for those guys, should be pretty straightforward. For the 3+2 guys, this is going to really help us check the consistency when we change machines or on the cam setups, and it will happen on file open. When the cam setup confirmation is not, will also show as not synchronized. The purple will indicate we need to update this. Dynamic preview on angle choice and log window reports. An updated cam setup and machine settings interface. Automatic recognition has been removed from the settings. Aligned to x-axis has been removed from the machine settings. And angle pair info. Let's take a look at that. What it's going to look like. In 2020, when we open that file, you may get a log window that says machine not aligned, especially if we change the machine. Okay, no difference is found on this one. You can see there's some purple there. Okay. And on here we have a current angle pair and a virtual angle pair, not synchronized. Okay. We only have one solution on that. First solution or second solution. First solution, it automatically synchronizes. Then reset, and it'll reset all the colors. The angle pairs are now synchronized to the machine settings. You can also do this when if we change a machine through the whole project as well. Under the machining dropdown, we would select Update Cam Setups. So the NC machine is not aligned. Shows some information about that in a log window. But for all intents and purposes, we can align machine and update all cam setups from our machine dropdown by right-clicking and align machine and reset cam settings. There you go. Now we've got it. Not aligned, user notification to consider the XY orientation. So it prompts us to consider the rotations. Complete control over the XY orientation. So meaning if we have a 45 one way and a 45 the other way, we can go to not aligned and make that all in the same orientation or different. Allows us a lot of control and really simplifies, and we know when we need to update. Really helps out. For kinematics, we'll be able to display values by machine head reference, display values by tooltip reference. Let's take a look at a So when we have that kinematics open, our numbers, are represented or can be represented in real Z positions. In Toolpath Lab, we get the real Z position as we're used to. In our Path Lab, we will see we don't have those real Z positions. It's from the back of the holder, which isn't as, beneficial to what we're looking at. As guys use the kinematics more and more, it's important to have our information, as valuable as it needs to be, or can be. So let's take a look at where to adjust that. Or rather, where that gauge length plus that number. Okay. So let's go and adjust how we control it. and that'll be for the raster. So in the cam setup and toolpath simulation, simulation coordinates option, machine head reference, or tooltip reference. So we still have our number 29. Looks good in there in toolpath lab. Doesn't affect that. But what we will affect is going to be the kinematic simulation. So once that loads, you can see we now have a reference as it should be. Again, it's in the cam settings and toolpath simulation settings. So let's take a look at some more general enhancements or changes. Group name support with templates, automatic tool sheet generating after posting, and some additional post-processor variables for 3+2 machining. Obviously, this is more for people who are developing the posts, so more for us on that one. But for you, the templates are going to be great, and the tool sheet generating can be beneficial if you're using that. Take a quick look at saving some group names in our templates. We have here stage 1, 2, and 3. So not only do we have the group name in there, but some post-processor info. You get the idea. When we do a save operation template, for some of those guys who are making a bigger jump, we can save the template tool cutting conditions with it, or we can use the pre-defined in our tool group. So now we can run that stored template. It's got our pocketing remachine down to our chamfering. Grab it and go. Builds those operations, and you can see it retains those foldered positions with the names as well. Automatic tool sheet generation after posting. We're selecting our post processor because it wasn't selected in that basic machine. Then we run, and with the option turned on in our cam settings, once we do our post, got our posted code, happy day. Within those settings, if we have the automatic tool sheet generation, we can turn that on. Now when we post, you can use the O hotkey for posting, or right-click Post Processor, Run Post Processor. Once we hit that X, it's going to prompt us for what we want to use, either the Excel or HTML versions. Take its pictures, enable the content, and there we go. Just some expanded capability. Moving on in the 3-axis, side and bottom allowance on the roughing or roughing spiral is going to be under Preview. Waveform, conical helix support, waterline optimized linking, all under Preview. Under the 4th and 5th axis, we have local operation post-processor settings, allows angle choice on individual operations, toolpath smoothing, and side tilt by. Let's take a look at quickly a couple of those little areas here in the 5-axis. We have 2 identical operations on opposite part sides. If we look and make sure we turn on our tool, we can see that we're going after these 2 areas on opposite sides. The default angle pair choice is going to be 2nd. So let's look at kinematics and how this is actually going to run through there. Okay. It shows the tool path. Not too bad. Let's go to the next operation. The second tool path within the same needs a different orientation. Okay. So local settings now on individual operations allows us to go to the first solution, user notification change, obviously, just like editing cutting conditions. Now, if we go to kinematics, now we can see it reflect the changes we made. So first operation's good still, looking good. Now no effect there, but on the next operation, you can see we rotate around to bring the head away from the sidewall there. Looking much better. Again, right-clicking. We also have a refresh back to the settings pulled from the machine. Now we're going to look at the 5-axis smoothing. Obviously, our machines do not like the sharp corners. So in the Advanced tab under Surface Quality, we have the smoothing toolpath. We've got some parameters of distance. And you can see gives us a much smoother toolpath. And for those of you who attended our seminars, you might have seen this, but we have a 5-axis toolpath here running. We provide these seminars once a year and go over the releases in person, and we can talk. It's good networking as well. So please stay tuned to your emails for those for next year's seminars. We'd love to have you. Under the wire, we do have some expanded capability. Some extension options for open profiles. It's now possible to extend wire paths and open profile cutting paths. So instead of having to monkey around with your approach and your retract, we can do a little bit easier and simpler way of doing that through setting up inside of our operations. We are going to demonstrate it on this 4-axis boss. It's an open profile with some taper. So with that extend profile option, as you see there, you can see it extends it tangentially from that profile, preventing us from having to extend it manually through the feature or with our approach and retract. And to highlight some things that are coming in VISI that are going to be beneficial are VISI's machining and gun drilling. Some of the functionality is here, but we're going to have greater control through our post processors to really fine-tune some of the gun drilling characteristics and to slow down, obviously, when we hit those cross holes and different ways to control that. So it's going to be real nice and allow us to really tailor it to how the guys are really performing these gun drill operations. Not just a generic way, but really fine-tuning it. With addition to that is going to be some templates that support cam setups. This is going to be especially helpful to our 3+2 guys in the lifter departments that we're seeing. They really want to try to standardize as much as they can and really have some templates that address that with cam setups. So they'll have their normal camp setups, try to get everything, double check on anything else, and that's where they're going to spend their additional time programming. And thank you for attending our webinar. The tech giving the webinar will now continue to take some questions if you guys haven't already asked them. And if they're beyond the scope of what we talked about, we can obviously use that support line. Thank you again for taking the time to join us.